Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a tool into the starter pack. And I'm gonna call this tool punching. And I'm going to add a local script into here. And once we've done that, I'm gonna go to my plugins tab, and we need something to create animations with. So Roblox by default gives us a plugin. Everyone should have this plugin called Rig Builder, and we're gonna build an R6 rig because these are much easier to animate. Right? And alright, so we're going to be programming a punch, or what we want is when I left click the mouse, I want it to perform let's say a two-step combo. Okay, so like maybe a right and then left, and then also I want my hands to do damage to what they hit. Okay, and so what we're gonna do, okay, is to animate this. Now that I have my rig, I'm gonna go to my animations. Okay, and so now we need to create an animation for this dummy. So I'm gonna call this first one a right. Let's call this right punch. Okay, and so I've created an animation. And how I explain animations to students is an animation is just a okay. Wait, hold on. I have this here. Alright. An animation is just a series of frames. Or yeah. Animations are a series of frames. Okay? Or 2D animations. But 3D animations are basically the same thing, except it's not a series of frames, but it's a series of poses. Okay, because in 3D you have you can move your limbs around, right? So it's just that we need to make a series of poses for the player to be. And so so are you already ready? Do you already have this set up, Kelvin? Like, do you have the animation editor and the dummy selected?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Do you have two screens or one screen?
Two.
Okay, nice.
I think I already have the dummy from last time, but I'll make a new one. Alright, yeah, I have it.
All right. So now, okay, you can notice you can probably select your different limbs. Okay, so R6 is called R6 because it has 6 bones. The R15 Roblox has 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So here in my animation editor, I can choose which frame that I'm on. Okay, so the left number is how many seconds, and the right number is how many frames. So Roblox animations are 30 frames per second. And so this is the first, second, third frame. This is the 12th, 27th, and this is the 30th frame, or it just changes it to 1 second. Um, since has been the 30 total frames have been played. So I'm gonna move my this pointer here to the first frame, okay, the 0th frame, and I'm going to I can rotate each limb or I can move each limb, okay, and I can rotate. Remember, we can change the snapping, okay, uh, by changing the degrees or um, the movement here. So if I'm snapping every one stud, or I can rotate every 15. But I can change that there. But I'm fine with how it is now. And so for my first frame, I'm gonna have the dummy raise his arms like this. Okay. Does not need to be too flashy. And okay. Alright. And then I'm also gonna have him raise his other arm up. Okay. But it's just gonna be like, right, so my snapping is way too big. I'm gonna change the snapping to 0.1. I'm gonna have him have his arm like this. So it's like his left arm is like protecting him. Okay, and then I'm gonna have his other arm like this. So this is my first frame. This is my first pose. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a second to have something kind of close to this.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, and then I'm just gonna move this to here. Okay, and create another pose. So what I want to do here is I just want to move this forward. Okay. And so now, if I press spacebar, I can actually see my animation kind of play.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then, I'm satisfied with this animation so far. So some animations only take 2 poses, some might take 3. You just need to figure out what are the essential frames. So for a walking animation, the um, I thought it was called. Alright, so like for example, if you want to have a ball bounce up and down, the keyframes that you have to have are these 3. Okay, having these ones are optional. Okay, these ones make it more smooth. Okay, but you have to have these 3. And so every animation you make with a student, you basically only need to cover the uh, the essential ones. Okay, making the other ones is just, it's really just to make it look nicer. Okay, but you, for a walking animation, for example, you have to have this one, and this one. So usually you never ever have to make an animation more than 3, or more than 3. So I'm just going to now get ready to export our animation so that we can use it in our code. So to export, I'm going to click on these 3 dots, and I'm going to save. And then I also need to create an animation priority. Okay, we're going to cover why we're going to do that later. I'm just going to make this action, and then we're going to export. We're going to export right punch. And so this gets uploaded to my account. Alright, and so now I have this ID, okay, that I can copy to my clipboard by clicking this picture right here. Alright, and if I didn't, if I closed out, okay, before getting this, I can also find my animation on Roblox by going to the Create tab. So, all right. So now that that's exported, I'm just gonna make my. Actually, let's focus on just coding it so that when I left click, I punch for now. Okay. So now I need an object that can store this animation. Okay. So I'm gonna click on this plus and add an animation. Okay, and I'm gonna paste this into here. All right. So then, okay, what we're gonna do, okay, is I'm going to go to the script, okay, and I'm gonna start making I'm gonna make a variable for my tool and the animation. So I can say that I'm gonna say punching is equal to, or let's call this punching tool. We'll say punching tool. It's gonna be equal to script dot parent, and then also these are my variables. I'm gonna say functions, and add another comment for events, and we're gonna say that I'm gonna call this animation right punch animation. I'm gonna say right punch animation. It's gonna be equal to punching tool dot right punch animation, and then alright, cool. And so then, okay, so now that I have my tool and my animation, okay, before I can play this animation, okay, first the code needs to know on what character do you want to play this animation. Okay, and then we need to know what keyframes does the animation contain. Okay, that's the two pieces of information that that the game needs in order to play an animation. Okay, so right now, this this animation right here is playing on this character, and these are the frames of the animation. Okay. Not only does it need to know the frames, it also needs the time at which to play the frames. Okay, because we don't want it to play like immediately after. Okay, that'd be incorrect. So the script needs to know both what the keyframes are, what time the keyframes are, and then also what character. Okay, so essentially this boils down to we need to load the animation, like all the data about the animation to a specific character. Okay, and the character that we want to load it on is the character who has this tool. Okay, so if I play the game, okay, I want to load it on this guy. Okay, the person who has this tool. Okay, so this tool right now is in it is in my backpack. Okay, but when I equip it, okay, it goes inside of my character here. Okay, so and this tool started off in the starter pack, but what the starter pack does is it, at the beginning of the game, it duplicates everything in here and puts it in the backpack of every player. Okay, and when we equip this tool, the parent the parent of this goes from the backpack to the character. So now the parent is /73. Okay, so so that is that. Okay, and so in order to figure out, okay, how do we tell the code? How does the code know who owns the tool? Okay, um, so first, a local script always knows the player that is playing that is playing the game. Okay, so that's like for example, if I start this game with let's say I'm gonna make a variable here for the player. So I'm gonna say player is equal to game dot players dot local player. Okay, and then I'm gonna print player dot name. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna start a server with 2 players. Okay, and what I expect is that for each player, the player dot name print um, is gonna print something else depending on the name of the player. Okay, so no 2 players should have the same local player. Okay, so if I start, okay, so this guy right here, okay, this guy's player 2. This is player two's character, okay, and this is player 2, the player, okay. Um, so when I see in the output player 2 has printed, okay, because on this client, okay, the local player is player 2, okay, but if I go to the other client, okay, so this is player 1, okay, I see player 1 printed, okay, so I can, in a local script, I can always figure out which player owns this tool, okay, because this variable will always represent the player who owns who's using this computer. Okay, does that make sense? Is that kind of clear?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. It's really hard to put the local player concept in words. So, all right. So now that we know we can always figure out the player who owns this tool, okay, that's great because we know that the player has a property called the character. Okay, so every player has a character. Okay, and so what we can do here is get the player's character, okay, when they equip the tool, okay, because I know for a fact when this tool is equipped, okay, what the parent of this tool is, and the parent of this tool is the character, okay, and we have to get that in order to load the animation properly. So, um, and so we're gonna make an event for when the I'm gonna make a variable for the character first, and I'm gonna set this equal to nil, okay, to nothing, right now, and I'm gonna make a so I want when the tool is equipped to set the character variable equal to the parent of the tool. So I'm gonna say um, punching tool dot equipped, okay, connect, okay, and I'm gonna make a function called um, setup character. All right, And so then all set of character is going to do is going to say character is equal to um, punching tool dot parent, because we know for a fact it will be in the character when we equip it. And so now we're just going to say when the tool is equipped, connect setup character. Okay, but I'm going to get rid of these parentheses inside of here because I don't want to call the function. I just want to connect the name of the function. And so now that that's done, um, to load the animation onto this character, okay, we're gonna need the humanoid, okay, and the reason we're gonna need the humanoid sorry, not humanoid. We need something called the animator. Okay, so the animator, okay, has a function called load animation. Okay, so just a reminder, the animator is a child, okay, of the humanoid. Okay, this is the animator. Okay, it is responsible for my animations. Okay, it loads the animations and it plays them. If I delete this animator, I have no animations. Okay, it loads them and it plays them. Okay, and so we need to make a variable for this. Okay, um, but this animator is a child of the humanoid, and the humanoid is a child of the character. Okay, so let's also make an empty variable for the humanoid, and then an empty variable for the animator. Okay, and so I'm going to say humanoid is going to be equal to character dot humanoid, and animator is going to be equal to humanoid dot animator. Okay, and so then now that we have the animator, okay, this has a function called load animation. Okay, so load animation takes an input, which is the animation to be used or loaded. Okay, and then we get returned to us the track. Okay, so the track is what we can play. Okay, so we can't play the animation. Okay, because it has to be loaded. But once it is loaded, the function gives us back something that can be played. Okay, because now it knows what character do I want to be loaded onto and what are the frames of the animation. And so then so let's make an empty variable for the uh, right punch, or let me put this below here. Right punch animation track is going to equal nothing. Okay, and it's going to equal nothing until we load the animation. And so we're going to say right punch animation track is going to be equal to animator colon load animation, and then open parentheses. So this is how I call the load animation function associated with the animator, and we have to pass in the animation track. So we're gonna say right punch, or not. We don't pass in the track. We pass in the animation. But what's returned to us is the track. And so then once that's there, the setup is done. Okay, so now the game knows what character we want to play the animation on, and then it also knows what keyframes need to be played. Okay, and so um, now I want every time I left click with the tool, I want to do something. Okay, so I need an event that gets triggered when I left click with the tool, and so that's going to be an event called activated. So punching tool dot activated colon connect. Okay, and we're going to make a function called play right punch animation. Okay, and okay, cool. So now what we want to do is play this track, okay, here. So all we're gonna do here is say right punch animation track colon play. Okay, and so if I didn't know what functions the animation track had, I can click on the animation track and see that this has a function called play, and it plays the animation track. Okay. All right. It does have some inputs, but we don't need to call it with those inputs. It has default. So now, and then we want to connect this function play right punch animation when the tool is activated. So we're gonna say um, um, we're gonna say play right punch animation. Oh, oops. Play right punch animation. All right, cool. So, so now, one last thing I need to do is I have an R15 character. Okay, I know this because I have elbows, I have hands, feet, and I have knees. Okay, I look very different than this dummy. Okay, so this animation will not play on my character because we prepared the animation on an R6, but I have an R15 dummy. Okay, so so if you ever get this whole script set up and nothing is working, it's because the character you're trying to play this animation on is in is of a different type. So to change the characters from R15 to R6, I'm going to go to game settings. I have to publish the game to do this. Alright, so now that I did that, okay, I'm gonna go to game settings, avatar, and we're gonna do R6. Okay, and we're gonna save. Oh, all right. So now if I play, what? All right, it's saying right punch animation is not a valid member of the tool of this tool, even though I do see something that says that, and that's
It's
because
working for mine.
yes. So
Okay.
this is because um, this is a race condition. So right now the code is being read faster than this animation has loaded into the game. So you know it'll vary. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will load before, and sometimes it won't. So I'm gonna tell the game to wait, to not move past this line until this child loads. Okay, so we're gonna say punching tool wait for child, and then right punch animation. Okay, so in this way, this script is not gonna error, um, not finding this punch animation. All right, and so now I'm gonna select my tool, and if one more thing, the tools, okay, Last time I think I talked with some of you guys about how you can use tools to make things you can pick up, like an orange or like a food items or like a weapon. So you can use the tool to have things that you can pick up. Okay, but in order for the tool to function as like something physical, you need to have a part called handle. Okay, named handle that the game can attach to. Okay, but we don't want this because we don't want this tool is not using a handle. Okay, we don't want a handle. We just want to use our animation. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this, but the tool needs to make sure that it does not require a handle. Okay, otherwise it cannot be activated. So this tool cannot be activated unless if this is enabled and you don't have a handle in your tool. So that's the last thing there. Alright, so now if I press play, I click my tool, and I click, I punch. Alright, so now I'm punching this dummy. Alright, so now, how can we make this deal damage? Okay, I want when my right arm is touched, okay, I want to deal damage to what it is touched. Specifically, okay, we know this dummy has a humanoid, okay, and I know that this humanoid has a health property, and I can set this to like 50, okay, and now the dummy has 50% health. I can set this to 10, okay, so I want when my arm touches the dummy to decrease the health property of the humanoid. Okay, and so we need to set up a touched event for my right arm. Okay, and so what we're gonna do, okay, is in our setup character function, I want to not only set up the animation track, but I also want to make it so that when my right arm is touched to deal damage. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say so now that I have the character, okay, I know for a fact that the character, okay, has something called a right arm. Okay, right arm is a child of the character. Notice how it has a space here, okay, in the name. Okay, so now that we know that the right arm is a child of the character, I'm gonna say, okay, right arm is gonna equal character dot. Now, so you might be tempted to say right space arm, okay, but that this is gonna error the code because we can't have spaces in our code here. So what we can do instead is I can index a child named right arm. Okay, so this square bracket is telling the, oh wait, sorry, this needs to say local, or I need to declare it up here. I could have done two things. I can leave this declared up here, or since no other code is using it really, I can just say local right arm. So I just need to use local if I'm declaring a variable in a function. Alright, so now that we know what the right arm is, okay, I'm going to set up my touched event. So we're going to say right arm dot touched connect. Okay, and I can do one of two things here. So I could create another function called damage, okay, and then connect this here, okay, or we can connect an anonymous function. So this function has a name, So it is not anonymous because we know what it is. We know we can give this function a name, but I can also connect an anonymous function. So function, okay. And so this syntax here is basically just if you're too lazy to write your own function up here, we can just connect a function right inside of this connect method. So and then but it's the same thing. So now I need to know what inputs or parameters does this event give me. So part touched. So now sorry, I was helping out my sister. All right. So now okay. Base parts dot touched. Okay. We want the okay, when a part is touched, okay, we get access to the other part. Okay, this is the other part that came in contact with your arm. Okay, and so we can call this input other part. Okay, I personally like to call it a other part that got touched. Okay, I know it's really wordy, but I like to be wordy to help the students understand. And so let's say I touch the character's torso. Okay, how can I use the torso to get to the humanoid? Okay, so um, let's say local torso is equal to other part that got touched dot or other part that got touched. Okay, I know that the parent of the torso is the character, so I can say character is equal to torso dot parent, and then I know that the humanoid or since not to be confused, I'm gonna call this enemy character and enemy torso, just so we don't confuse ourselves here. Okay, since the humanoid is a child of the character, the enemy humanoid, so I'm gonna say local enemy humanoid is gonna be equal to enemy character dot humanoid. Okay, but okay, so we're calling this variable enemy torso. What if you hit the arm or the leg or the head? Okay, these are all just children of the dummy and they're all just parts. Okay, so I can just say okay that the enemy character is equal to other parts dot parent. Okay, no matter what, I'm going to be hitting a part and the parent of this part is going to be the character. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so now I can change the properties of this humanoid. So I can say enemy humanoid dot health is going to be equal to how much health we currently have. So if I want to decrease this, I'm going to set it equal to how much health I currently have, and then minus 10. Okay. I do think Lua has minus equal, so you could have said minus equals 10. Okay. All right. So now let's test this out. So now if I press play, if I press 1, I click, I just defeated the dummy.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Let's Cool. All right. So you might be wondering how we defeated it in 3 hits when it's supposed to only take 10 health. This is because the touched event is triggered like multiple times here. So we'd have to make our code a bit smarter if you want to only damage it once per swing. Okay, but this is fine for now. Right, so cool. So quickly, how do I make a tool that uses an ability? Okay, let's say I'm gonna make another tool called Fireball tool, and again I'm gonna add a local script. All right, and I'm gonna say these are my variables, functions, and events. Okay, and before this I'm gonna make a sphere. Okay, and I'm gonna make this red. Okay, and I'm gonna add a fire particle in it. Okay. Okay, so this is the fireball. Okay, or let me change the name to fireball. Okay, this fireball is a child of the workspace. So I'm gonna say first I'm gonna say fireball tool. It's gonna equal script dot parent, and then fireball is gonna equal game dot workspace dot fireball. So now we have both of these. So now what we want to do is when this tool is activated, so fireball tool dot activated, I want to connect a function that's going to, I want it to duplicate this. Okay, I want it to be positioned at my torso. I'm just using the dummy as an example, but I want to position it at my torso, and then I want it to move forward in the direction of my torso. Okay, to make things move, okay, you can use an object called body velocity. I'm gonna delete this actually, and I'm gonna add a body velocity inside of my fireball. Okay, and usually for the body velocity, I just make the max force property really big, so that it's nothing can get in its way. Just have tons of force, and then the velocity dictates the speed and direction in which it flies. So if I run the game now, okay, this is going up 2 studs per second. Okay, because it says 2 on the y-axis. Okay, so the y is up and down. If I put 10, okay, it's gonna go up faster. Okay, and I can put negative 10 as well, or even negative 20. Okay, so but we need to give it the correct direction. Okay, so the correct direction for this, after, let's say I position this if I position this right here, the can collide is on. So if I position this at the dummy's torso, what is the correct direction? Okay, all right, so well, I know the dummy has something called a torso. Okay, and I know that the torso has these 6 arrows. Okay, so I want the fireball to go in the direction of this arrow right here, this blue one. Okay, well, every single part has 6 arrows called the C frame. Okay, so um, so every part has a right arrow, a top arrow, and a back arrow. To get the other 3, you just need to multiply these arrows by a negative, right? So I can get the left arrow, bottom arrow, and then front arrow. Okay, is it making sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to know what is this blue arrow? Okay. Um, this blue arrow is actually called the look vector. So this is the look, this is the up, and then this red one is the right. Okay. We know this because this is his right arm, and so the right vector points to the right side of the body, and then this is the up, it points to his head, and then this is the look vector. Okay, it's where usually things are looking. So I want to make the body velocity the look vector of the dummy. So if I were to print game dot workspace dot dummy dot torso dot C frame. Okay, so the C frame is a property of this torso part. Okay, every part has a C frame property. So game.workspace.dummy.torso.cframe.look vector. All right, this is the vector here. So 0, 0, -1. So if I change this velocity to 0, 0, and then -1, okay, now the fireball moves. Now this is really slow, so I'm going to see what happens if I multiply the result by 10. Okay, I want to move faster. And it's going to multiply this vector by 10. And we know when we multiply vectors by 10, it multiplies each of the entries by 10. So it should be -10. And so it moves faster. Okay. So we're going to do the same exact thing in our code. Okay, I need to figure out the character who's casting the fireball, and then I need to get the torso, and then I need to get the look vector of that torso and make it the velocity of the fireball. Okay, so what we're gonna do is also let me make sure this fireballs can collide off so it doesn't collide with you. So what we're gonna do is make a function. Oh, first I need to make a variable for the local player. So I'm gonna say player is equal to game.players.local player. And I know it's 11. We won't be going too much longer. But player is equal to game.players.local player, and the character, okay, is going to be equal to nil. Okay, and then the torso is going to be equal to nil. And let's make a function called setup character. And we want to set up the character when the tool is equipped. So let's say fireball tool dot equipped connect setup character, and we're going to say character is going to be equal to fireball tool dot parent, and then torso is going to be equal to character dot torso. And so once we do that, okay, we're going to say so when the tool is equipped, set up character. Okay, let's make another function called cast fireball. Okay, and what this function is going to do is we're first going to clone we want to clone this fireball. So I'm gonna say local fireball clone is gonna be equal to um, fireball colon clone. Okay, so that's cloning the fireball. Then I want this fireball to be positioned at the torso of the player. So I'm going to say fireball clone dot position is going to equal torso dot position. And then we're going to say, so remember, our clone has a body velocity in it. Okay. So let's make a variable for that. Or we could just say fireball clone dot body velocity. Okay, and then this body velocity has a velocity property. So I'm going to say body velocity dot velocity, and we'll set this equal to I want the velocity to be equal to the torso dot c frame dot look vector.
Do we want to times it by
Oh
something?
yes, and multiply it times 10 because it's going to be too slow. Alright. And so I want to cast fireball whenever the tool is activated. Okay. And so we're going to connect cast fireball. So now, okay, if I play here. Oh, wait, one thing. Remember, when we create a tool, if it does not have a handle in it, we need to disable requires handle. So if I play here, alright, and if I click this, okay, and I click, oh, we forgot to put it in workspace. Okay, when we clone something, it does not exist in the game yet, so we need to say fireball clone dot parent is equal to game dot workspace. Okay, we want to put it in this guy right here, otherwise we don't see it. So for example, if I move this fireball, currently we see it because it's a child of workspace, but if I put it in server storage, we don't see it anymore. Not child, I mean descendant, okay, because this head is technically a child of the dummy. It's not a child of the workspace, but it's a descendant. So we can only see things in the workspace that are descendants of workspace. And so if I play here, and I click this, all right.
Can you go back to your code real quick?
Sure. Let me know of any errors you get too.
I'm getting an error. It says attempt to call it Roblox script signal value.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. We need to say fireball tool dot equipped colon connect. So we want to
Oh my
connect.
god. Yeah.
We want to connect the event to a function. The reason it said attempt to call an RBX signal value is because equipped and activated are events, and you can't call them. But yeah, nice.
Other thing. Yeah.
All right. And so now, if you wanted the fireball to do damage, you'd say fireball clone dot touched, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Okay, and you'd set up that event inside of the cast fireball function. All right, so that is it. Okay, and so the tool is very useful for making. If your student wants to make a combat related game, you can do it for that. Another thing we could have also done is make a casting animation. So I could have made another animation here. Right, and let's make a new animation. So I can click on these three dots, create new, casting, and I could have like on the first frame maybe he has his hands inside. So maybe he has his hands inside, and on the next frame maybe he moves his hands outward. Right, and so that's another cool thing you can do with that. Alright, so alright. Thanks guys for watching.